We are live. What's up, everyone? This is a live Blender Q&A and tutorial. What's up, everyone? We do this every single weeknight. Same time, same place at 6 p.m. PST. Again, if you have any questions regarding anything Blender related, you could ask it tonight. What's up, everyone? We are live on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Instagram, and Facebook. What's up, everybody? How's everyone's week been? Hey, mate. What's up, George? What's up, guys? This is a live Blender Q&A. The Rispadas. What's up? Hi. Yo, what's up, Tim and 3D? What's up, brother? Guys, this is a live Blender Q&A and tutorial. Delete the cube and add a new one. You got it. All right, since you asked it. X, delete the cube, and guys, add a new cube. Boom! First tutorial of the night. What's up, Doric? Thank you for the request. Appreciate it. Got to kick off the night right, you know. How do you stream Blender? I have no idea. I'm using a software called Restream. What's up, Ab? What's up, Roshan? How to make realistic lighting. All right, we'll get into that. Sup, Alex? What's up, Ab? By the way, guys, we are live on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and Kick. You can feel free to join in the Zoom. Again, on Zoom, you'll be able to ask questions, and you'll be able to see the screen in full screen, and of course, ask questions, etc. All right, so the first question of the night, besides deleting the default cube and adding a new one, the Ripadas, sorry if I butcher your name, asks how to make realistic lighting. And then Ab is asking about the sand texture. You were talking about the texture roughness. Yeah, so I'll show how to do some sand texture once I do the lighting. How can I know what is better to do with Eevee or cycles? It depends, George. If you want to do more realistic renders, use cycles. If you want to do more non-realistic renders or more cartoonish renders, use Eevee. But if you're going for more realism, use cycles. So the first question is how to do realistic lighting. So based off of that, first thing, like I mentioned, if you want to do more realism, use cycles. So for your lighting, make sure to not be in Eevee. Make sure to be in cycles. That will already take care of a lot of the lighting, because with cycles, you have proper light bounces, you have proper transparencies, you have ambient lighting. It basically takes care of everything. Whereas with Eevee, you have to re-enable or bake all of those, which is annoying. So if you want more realistic lighting, make sure to be in cycles. So next, what I recommend for more realistic lighting is to use a Skytext HDRI. And how to explode an object. Yeah, I could go over that. It's basically stands for high dynamic range imagery. So over here, if you go to a site called polyhaven.com. So polyhaven.com, as you can see right here, it has a bunch of free HDRIs. And here, if you click on browse HDRIs, you could browse them. Now, let's say you're making a scene with mountains. Well, I could get a mountains HDRI, such as this right here. And all you have to do is click it. Again, an HDRI is an image that wraps around your scene 360 degrees. So it's basically like a spherical image. So right here, you can see that we could just download it. So I'm going to download this HDRI. And then back in Blender over here, let me reshare my screen. And again, I'm sure most people are familiar with HDRIs. But right now you can see that our scene is lit by this gray world, which obviously in realism, again, if you want realistic lighting, a gray background like so, and right metallic so that it reflects. So I like properties. And again, guys, if you're not, you're lagging on Instagram. Let me try. And then we could just open that HDRI. So right here, I could open. And the reason this adds more realistic lighting is because, I'm assuming you guys can hear the dog barking. The environment, and it lights your scene with being lit with all these different colors. So it's lighting some blue from the top, it's getting the lighting from the gray rocks and the green, and everything is being reflected there. So just being in cycles and adding an HDRI for lighting is going to change or increase your light. So change your light to a 4. This will help to light your scene and also to cast shadow. Then if you want even more realistic lighting, I recommend adding a volumetrics or some dust in. Now we can easily do that by adding it to a principal. I stopped the Zoom meeting app to see if it would lag less. So right here, I could just add a principled volume, and I could add some volumetrics into my scene. So now we have the realistic lighting of the scene. Again, you want to make sure to be in cycles. That's step 1. Then you want to make sure to have an HDRI lighting your scene. And then you want to make sure to have a sun lamp. Your Insta is breaking. Let me know if it's better now. Maybe it was cycles lagging me. Let me know if it's better now. Maybe it will be. All right. So hopefully that helps you, my friend. What's up, Kodesh? Sound keeps cutting out, Kodesh says. Cutting out so bad, catching every 10th word, maybe less. Damn, tonight it's not working well, huh? Is it working better now? Can you guys hear me better now? Better now. Awesome. All right. Well, there you go. All right. I think it should work better now. I stopped the Zoom, and also I'm not in cycles anymore. All right. So Ab was asking about making some sand and stuff. So Ab, the main thing, Ab made a project working fine for me. Yeah, I think it's working fine now, SB. Thank you, brother. Now it's better. Custom Canon says. Yeah, it wasn't good for a second. I think it's cycles and Instagram. I mean, and Zoom. Missed lighting tutorial. Said. Well, brother, all you need for the lighting really is, again, make sure you're in cycles, add an HDRI into the world, and then add a sun lamp value of 4. And then already with those 3 things, you'll have more realistic lighting. So once you do those 3 things, of course, then there's a bunch of other stuff, such as some other indirect lightings. You could add volumetrics, you could add dust particles, you could add some God rays, and a bunch of other stuff. And it starts to all add on top of one another. All right. Ab was asking about the sand thing. So I'm going to show quickly for making a sand material. I'm not sure which way you went about it, Ab. Again, there's many ways to make a sand material. But right here, if I add a new material to here. Again, guys, this is to make like a sandy desert. Out of the base color, we're going to get a wave texture right here. So a wave texture. Then with the wave texture, we're going to hit Control T. Make sure you have mapping and texture coordinate. Make sure you have Node Wrangler enabled, and it will add a mapping and texture coordinate. The Repieda says, okay, got it. Dude, I've mentioned your name like in 3 different ways, so I'm sorry. Box of Cannon says it's fine on both now, YouTube and Insta. Awesome, awesome. So right here, guys, for a sand-like texture, all you want to do is add a wave texture and a texture and mapping coordinate node. A texture coordinate and a mapping node. Excuse me, I'm mixing everything. And then all we're going to do here is on the wave texture, we're going to increase the distortion, and this will distort it like so. We could put the scale down a little bit if we want. And then we could increase the detail. The detail is basically going to increase the amount of noise in it. So you can see detail of 2. And if I increase the detail, there's more noise. And the detail scale is basically going to affect the detail even more. So it's basically going to distort it even more. So you could kind of mess around with these values a little bit. And then you can see that we start to get a kind of sand-like texture. Then we could add a color ramp after the wave texture. And with this color ramp, we could kind of dictate our sand lines a little bit more. So you can see right here, I could kind of contrast these lines depending on how I want the sand to kind of look. This gives us a little bit more control. So maybe the black lines, I want them a little bit bigger, like so. And then after that, I'm just going to add another color ramp. So drop another color ramp right here. And this color ramp is going to dictate our colors. Once again, the black slider is going to dictate whatever color is on the black parts, and the white slider is going to dictate the colors on the white. So I'm just going to give this a kind of sand color. So something like that. I'm going to hover. If you hover your mouse over a color, you can hit Control C to copy it. And I'm going to go to the white slider and hit Control V to paste it. And then I'm just going to make this one a little bit darker, like so. So now we're starting to get a sand-like texture. Now the magic, as with any material setup, comes in the bump. So out of the normal, we want to get a bump node right here. And we want to plug the color of the black and white color ramp into the distance. Or not into the distance, sorry, into the height. And this is going to basically give us the illusion of bumps, or basically crevices and valleys. Then we could change the distance here to make it more or less drastic. So right here, maybe I'll put this down to like 0.0, no, that's too much, 0.05, or maybe 0.07 or so. Something like that, 0.05 or something like that. There we go. And then on top of this, obviously you want the roughness because sand isn't that shiny, so we can put the roughness up. Also, since sand is kind of a natural material, it could have a little bit of subsurface. Again, guys, subsurface is basically, it stands for subsurface scattering. So subsurface means below the surface and scattering. So basically what this does is it makes it so that the light penetrates below the surface, subsurface, and it scatters. So subsurface scattering. Just like when you hold your hand up to the sun or up to a flashlight, you'll see the light penetrate your fingers or your hand and kind of scatter inside your skin. So you usually want a little bit of subsurface on natural things such as skin or vegetables or clay or things like that. And as far as sand, sand probably technically doesn't have subsurface, but it is, depending on what kind of sand, it can be a little bit transparent. So you could kind of add some subsurface to the sand to kind of fake it a little bit. Because again, some sand is more like clear sand. It's kind of like a little bit crystallized and it's see-through. So you could kind of add a little bit of subsurface. I don't think I would normally add subsurface to sand, but it could give it a nice look. Then you have the radius right here. This is red, green, and blue. This is basically how much of red is going to go through, how much of blue, and how much of green. Now, also with the sand, Ab, the main thing I was mentioning, Ab, on the animation that you did is that the sand was very, it was very rough. I think like your normal map or your bump was very high, so it looked, the detail wasn't fine enough is what I was trying to get at. So I would say adjust the scale. And also another thing you could do is you could layer this wave texture with a noise texture. So if we hit Shift A and add a noise texture right here, and let me just plug this into here, we could get another bump node right here. I'm just going to duplicate it. And we could plug this factor into the height of this one. And here I could put the distance of this one up a little bit to like a 0.3 just to exaggerate it. And then I could increase the scale right here, and 0.3 might be too much. So let me put it down to like a 0.14 maybe. That's still much, 0.1. Yeah, 0.04. So very subtle. And now I could increase the scale of this, and I could increase the detail and bring the roughness up. And by adjusting these two, I could start to get some more finely tuned sand kind of look. And again, you have to mess around with the different settings as you want. You know, you could distort it more or less, etc. Also, Ab, another thing you could do is on the animation you did is maybe add a thin layer of kind of dust above the sand. So, you know, you could just add a volumetrics right here just above the sand that you had. And let me add a principled volume right here. And let me change this to 0.02 and give this a kind of sandy color right there. Now, of course, I got to go to cycles right here. But adding a subtle dust to the top of the sand, just add matrix cube with the same color as the sand just above it. We'll add a little bit more depth to it. Hopefully that helps, but still the animation came out great, man. I liked it quite a bit. All right, does anyone have any other questions? I know Ab said how to make something explode and how to explode an object. So there's the lag. Yeah, I think the lag comes when I start to go to cycles for some reason. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. No, but it came out great, Ab. Good job on the animation. All right. Does anyone have any other questions regarding anything? And Ab, as far as making an object explode, so Ab had another question of how to make an object explode. So for example, here we could go ahead and add in let me add a UV sphere. And here under preferences, so if I go to edit, preferences, thanks, Alex, anytime, man. Under add-ons, guys, a great add-on is the cell fracture add-on. So cell fracture, this allows for you to fracture your objects into different parts. So now with the cell fracture add-on, I could go ahead, and again, the question is how to make an object explode. We could go to object and go to quick effects and select cell fracture right here. And there's a bunch of different settings. I'm just going to leave it at default and click OK. As you can see, it's going to fracture our sphere or our ball right here. So once it's fractured, 5 hours later, you can see that we still have the original object right here, which I'm just going to hide for now. And then what we could do to make an object explode is we could select a piece, go to the physics tab. How to explode an object in Blender for FBI agent watching this. Yeah, I'm showing you how to make an object explode, brother. So right here, we could select a piece and add a rigid body to it. So I just added a rigid body to this piece. So now if I play this, you can see that it just falls because it's a rigid body. So then I could go into wireframe mode. I could select all of these, select this one last, and I could go to Object, Rigid Body, and Copy from Active. This will copy the rigid bodies to all the other pieces, as you can see right there. So if I were to bring this up, let me bring this up with the original sphere as well. So right here, let me select the original sphere for crying out loud. There it is. So now we have this breaking, as you can see right there. Whoops, I don't want that collision. I want that rigid body passive. So you can see that we have that breaking. But if we want to make it explode, for example, we could go ahead, and a little trick that I like to do is if I select this, for example, right here on the rigid body, you can see that we have a dynamic option right here. If I uncheck dynamic, you can see that it doesn't fall down. So what we could do is on frame 1 with dynamic off, we could insert a keyframe. Then we could go to frame 20, and I'm also going to insert a keyframe with dynamic off. And then I'm going to go to frame 21, so just one frame ahead. I'm going to enable dynamic and insert a keyframe. So now what's happening is you can see that this only starts to fall after frame 20. Now, obviously, we need to do this to all the other pieces as well. So once again, I'm going to select all these pieces. I'm going to select this one with the keyframes last, and I'm going to hit Control L, and I'm going to select Link Animation Data right here. So Link Animation Data. And so now you can see that from frame 1 to 20, nothing happens, and then they fall. Now, obviously, it's not exploding right now, so the last trick of this is to add a force field object. So we're going to hit Shift-A. Let's add a force field, force, and just bring it into the middle of the sphere. And right here, we have the strength. I'm going to put the strength up to like 50 for the force field. And now when we play it, you can see that it explodes. Maybe I'll put the strength to like 1,000 right there. So now if I play it, you can see, boom, it explodes just like that. How awesome is that? Pretty cool. And then obviously the strength at 1,000 maybe is too much. Let me put it down to 500. So now we got this sphere exploding just like that. Now right here, you can see that we can still see the cracks of the self-fracture, which is kind of annoying. So if I hit Alt-H and get my original sphere here, where is it? All right, let me just select it in the outliner. So I have my original sphere here. I could go ahead and let me actually, I'm going to hide it. With these pieces, we could actually select all of these right here. And let me select all of them minus this. So with all of these selected, I'm going to go to frame 20 right here. And I'm going to move these to a new collection. So I'm going to hit the M key and move it to a new collection right there. And on this collection, on frame 20, I'm going to hide them, and insert a keyframe. I guess we can't insert keyframes on these anymore, so never mind. I'm not going to do it that way. Instead of doing it that way, I guess I could hide it here probably. Let me see if this keyframes. So if I hide it in the viewports, there we go. And then on frame 21, I make it visible in the viewport. So right here, let me see, where did it go? Obviously, I unhid the collection. So right here, if we have, which one did I do it on? F3. So right here, basically you want to hide that in the viewport, I key. And then on the next frame, you want to make it visible, I key. And then obviously it's this one here. So right there. And then you want to copy the keyframes. Let me see. There we go. So right here, let's copy these keyframes right here. Control L, link animation data. And you can see that right here, the sphere is gone for the first 20 frames, and then it shows up. And then you want to do the opposite with your original sphere. So the original sphere right here is right here. And I want this to be visible all the way up until frame 20. So I'm going to insert a keyframe. And then on frame 21, I want this one to disappear. So now, after all that, we have this sphere. And then we get this explosion effect for the sphere. How awesome is that? So that's how you can create a quick explosion effect. Again, cell fracture your object, make all your objects rigid body, animate or keyframe your rigid body dynamic, and then keyframe the visibility of the broken pieces and then the piece that's whole. And then you get this cool explosion effect. And you can do this to any object, basically. Hopefully that helps you out, Ab. I'll post the file on the site, on the public chat. If anyone wants to take a look at this file, I'll post it on blendermania3.com on the chat. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any questions on that? Or does anyone have any questions on that? On a specific step I did, if you missed it or something, does anyone have any questions on what I just showed on how to make an explosion effect? Again, any question? There are no stupid questions, guys. So any questions? No? Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to share this .blend on blendermania3.com. All right, does anyone have any other questions regarding anything in Blender? Again, it could be anything. It could be geometry nodes. It could be shader nodes, modeling, texturing, explosion effect. There we go. Does anyone have any questions regarding anything? Let me post this on the site. By the way, guys, the file will be posted on blendermania3d.com if you want to check it out. Explosion effect. There we go. By the way, guys, we do this live Q&A every weeknight, same time, same place. If you have any questions regarding anything in Blender, you can feel free to ask it. When will you start the car modeling tutorial? Yeah, I'll be doing that soon. I mean, definitely got to do it soon. Soon. I will do it soon, I promise. Probably after BlendCon. Again, guys, BlendCon LA is happening next Friday. Not this Friday, but next Friday. I will be there with a bunch of other people, and it's going to be fun. All right, does anyone have any questions regarding anything in Blender? Again, anything at all? By the way, guys, we are live on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you can't really see on Instagram, just go to the YouTube channel. It's Blender Mania on YouTube. What hotkeys work with the polybuild tool? I'm not even sure what the polybuild tool is. I've never used that. Is that an add-on or something? I don't think I'm familiar with the polybuild tool box of cannons. unless you're talking about just the tools over here, but unless you're mentioning something else, I'm not sure. I've never used the poly build tool if that's an add-on. Again, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask it. There are no stupid questions. It could be simple questions. I know a lot of people are just starting out in Blender. So if you're just starting out and you have questions regarding anything, again, it could be how to add a texture or geometry nodes, shader nodes, animation, whatever you want. By the way, guys, I'm not sure if you noticed, but in Blender 4.1, when you hit the I key, so Blender Guru would be there. He did move to LA. Oh, really? He's in LA? I don't know. We'll see. If he is, we'll have to do a boxing match. No, okay. By the way, guys, you'll notice in Blender 4.1 that when you hit the I key, you no longer get that menu for adding keyframes. Now, if you want that menu, you have to hit the K key. So the K key will bring that menu. If you hit the I key, it will just automatically insert a keyframe. Now, this is based off of your preferences. If you go to Edit, Preferences, under Animation, you can see we have default key channels. Right now, it's set to Location, Rotation, and Scale. So when I hit the I key, it's going to insert, as you can see right here, a keyframe for the location, rotation, and scale, because that's what I have set here. If I move forward and move this and hit the I key again, once again, it inserts a keyframe for all three of those. But let's say I only want it to, and can you explain about the integration of Musgrave texture into noise texture in Blender 4.1, Ab says. Yeah, that's a great question. I'll go over that once I finish with this. Now you can see that right here, it's inserted a keyframe for everything, even though I only moved it. So right here, we have this option called Only Insert Needed. And if I click on Manual, by the way, Manual is when you insert it with the I key, you can see it will basically exclude any keyframes for any movements that have not been changed. So if I hit the G key, let me move frames. If I hit the G key, I've only moved it. So now, because I have this enabled, if I hit the I key, it's only going to insert keyframes for the location because I've only moved it. I haven't rotated it or scaled it. So if I move forward and I only rotate it, you can see it only adds keyframes for the rotation. So that's what this does. And we also have it for auto, which is, it does the same thing, but for automatic keyframe insertion. If we don't have it enabled with automatic keyframe insertion, if I move this, it adds a keyframe for location, rotation, and scale. But if I have this enabled on auto, when I move it, it will only add a keyframe for the location, since that's the only operation that was done. Ab says, oh, I was wondering about the keyframe thing. Thanks for sharing that. Anytime, man. So yeah, that's the new keyframe system. Again, when you hit the I key, it's going to be based off of these. You could select whatever channel you want it to key when you hit the I key, or you could shift select multiple. You could enable or disable these right here as you want. And once again, if you want the traditional menu, just hit the K key and boom, you got it right there. All right, Ab is asking about the Musgrave texture into the noise texture in Blender 4.1. And let me see what Box of Canada says. No, it's in the editing menu tools. In the editing menu tool, let me check it. So if I go to edit mode, you mean the poly build tool? Oh, the poly build? I've actually never used this, my friend. So yeah, I wouldn't know on this. I've actually never used this, surprisingly. So I'm not even sure how it works. I'm sure I take a look at it for next time and I'll know by tomorrow, but that's a good question. Actually, the other day I had just come across this. I had never seen this before, the interactive add menu. And I thought it was really cool to just be able to like add shapes like this. Kind of useless, but very cool nonetheless. And you can see you could add shapes just like that. Again, very useless, but kind of cool. So yeah, I'm not sure what that does, my friend. I have never used it. I'll know by tomorrow and I could answer you tomorrow. All right, so Ab was asking about the noise texture or the Musgrave texture being merged into the noise texture. Great question. So guys, you might have noticed that the Musgrave texture is no more. In Blender 4.1, if we hit Shift A and look for a Musgrave texture, you can see we don't have it. And that's because it's been merged into the noise texture. So right here, we have the noise texture. And if you want to get the same look as the Musgrave texture, you can see, first of all, we have this drop down. We have all the drop downs that the Musgrave texture had. But if you want to get the same look as the Musgrave texture, just disable normalize. And you can see it already looks like the Musgrave texture. And then just bring the detail down and the roughness up or down. You could also change this from FBM. So if I re-enable normalize, you could change this from FBM to hetero terrain. And boom, there you go. You got the Musgrave texture. And then, of course, you could increase the detail. If you want the kind of, the noisy Musgrave look, you could increase the detail and increase the roughness. Let me go back to FBM. For this one, you want to be on FBM. You want to deselect normalize and increase the detail to 15 and then mess with the roughness. And you can see you could get that same kind of look that the Musgrave texture gave us. So basically, just stay on FBM, turn off normalize, and play around with the detail and the roughness, and you'll get the same kind of looks that the Musgrave texture gave us. So there we go. All right. Hopefully that answers your question, brother. Does anyone have any other questions? And sorry, Box of Cannons, I couldn't answer your question. We got about a couple more minutes, guys, before we end off. If anyone has any questions regarding anything in Blender, again, it could be regarding geometry nodes, shader nodes, texturing, animation. It could be regarding anything. And again, there are no stupid questions. If you're brand new, that's totally fine. Are you familiar with SketchUp? I've heard of it. I've never used it, so not really. Not really familiar with it. By the way, guys, we do this live Q&A and tutorial every weeknight. So feel free to join in at any day. All right. I've heard of SketchUp, or maybe I'm thinking of Sketchfab. I don't know. I'm not sure. All right. Does anyone have any questions regarding anything? Again, it can be a question about anything in Blender, and I will answer it live. I don't necessarily have a tutorial for today because I didn't do a short for today, but the other days we will do a tutorial as well. By the way, guys, BlenderMania3D.com is the official site for this community. So go to BlenderMania3D.com. We got a bunch of live contests and challenges. And we have all the times and links for all of the lives, etc. So again, BlenderMania3D.com. All right, guys. Well, hey. If no one has any questions, we will be ending off. And tomorrow, we'll have a live, same time, same place. So again, if you have any questions regarding anything in Blender, feel free to ask. Again, BlenderMania3D.com is the official site. And with that, guys, we'll see everyone tomorrow. And Box of Cannons, I'll take a look at that, of what that does exactly. I think I might have used it once, but not really. Ab says, all things aside, appreciate your grind. You've been doing this for a long time. Hey, anytime, man. Good to have you part of the community. And yeah, anytime, brother. It's fun, so I enjoy it. All right, guys. We'll see everyone tomorrow. Hopefully that helps everyone. Again, the live, excuse me. For anyone who missed anything, the recording will be up on my YouTube, Blender Mania on YouTube. And we'll see everyone on BlenderMania3.com and on tomorrow's live. So we'll see you guys there. Thank you, sir. Box of Cannon says, anytime, brother. We'll see everyone there. Ciao for now.